Have you ever caught someone giving you an odd look after sharing some good news, or felt like a friend's compliments were more about throwing shade than celebrating you? Let's face it, jealousy is real and sometimes it's closer than you think. Today, we're diving into the subtle and sometimes not so subtle signs that someone in your life might be quietly jealous of you. When you're shining bright, some people just can't stand the glare. So buckle up, because I'm about to share how to spot if someone's secretly salty about your success. 1. Gossiping behind your back. Let's start with one of the most classic signs: gossiping behind your back. There's nothing that screams, "I'm insecure about your success," more than whispering about it to others instead of talking to you directly. Jealousy thrives on an audience. When someone feels envious, they'd rather discuss your life with other people than celebrate it with you. It's almost flattering, isn't it? You're just out here living your life, and they've made you the star of their own reality show. Plot twist, you didn't even audition. A few years ago, when I landed my first big promotion, I noticed a trusted friend suddenly acting a little off. Instead of congratulating me, they'd make small digs like, "Well, people are always hiring for that position." Or, "Wow, lucky you, I heard it's not that hard to get." Then, I started hearing through the grapevine that they were saying I must have gotten lucky or knew someone on the inside. The funny thing is, I didn't even realize they felt this way until someone casually brought it up at a party. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I thought we were close, but jealousy made them talk behind my back instead of being happy for me. 2. Making you feel guilty for your success. Here's a weird one, and surprisingly common. They try to make you feel guilty for your success. You know the comments, "Must be nice," or "Some of us aren't that lucky." They say it like a joke, but it's really a subtle dig meant to make you feel bad about the good things happening in your life. Success is hard enough to achieve without someone trying to make you feel guilty for it. You've worked hard, earned what you've got, and then someone comes along trying to make it seem like you're selfish for achieving your goals. It's like they're taxing you with guilt just for being happy. Let me share an example from my own life. When I bought my first car, one I'd saved up for over a long period of time, I thought everyone would be happy for me. This was a huge milestone. But one of my oldest friends, someone who'd seen me struggle to save every penny, gave me this disappointed look and said, "Wow, must be nice. I'd love to be able to afford that, but I've got real bills to pay." And just like that, the excitement of that moment started to fade. I remember wondering, am I not supposed to feel happy about this? It took me a while to realize that my success was highlighting their insecurities. Instead of dealing with it, they tried to throw the guilt back on me. This is an unfair tactic, and honestly, it can be really hurtful if you're not prepared for it. But here's the truth. Their feelings don't mean you've done anything wrong. When people try to make you feel guilty about something you've worked hard for, that's a them problem, not a you problem. They'd rather try to bring you down than face their own feelings. So the takeaway is this: never let anyone make you feel ashamed of your accomplishments. You don't need anyone's permission to enjoy what you've earned, and you definitely don't owe an apology for your own success. If someone can't celebrate with you, then they're not really on your side. And honestly, it's better to find that out sooner than later, because life's too short to play small just to make others feel comfortable. You deserve to own every bit of happiness you've earned. 3. Copycat behavior. Now let's talk about something that's a bit sneaky. Copycat behavior. I'll get into that next. Let's talk about copycats for a moment. You know the type. When someone suddenly starts mimicking everything you do, They copy your style, your hobbies, and even the way you speak, and while imitation can be flattering, up to a certain point, when you start noticing them picking up on every single detail about you, it goes from admiration to something much creepier. It's not just about being inspired by you anymore, it's about trying to be you. And trust me, there's a thin line between someone appreciating you and losing themselves in an attempt to copy you. Let me share a story. I once had a coworker who started copying everything I did. It started out small. She'd ask where I bought a jacket or mention how much she liked a phrase I'd use. But before I knew it, she was showing up with the same haircut, dressing in the same colors, and even picking up on my hobbies. But here's the kicker. She started taking credit for my ideas at work. She began mimicking the way I presented things to our boss, and eventually she even started copying my social media posts, word for word. I remember thinking, is she a fan or is this something else? At first it was kind of funny, but then it started to feel like I was losing my own identity in my own space. One day, I casually confronted her, asking if she had noticed how similar our styles had become. She brushed it off, saying, "Oh, I just think you have great taste." But deep down, I knew it wasn't just about taste. She was insecure in her own lane, so she tried to merge into mine. That's the thing about copycats. They don't want to put in the effort of creating their own path. Instead, they feel threatened by you and want to capture whatever you have. The truth is, people copy you because they see something in you that they want but can't seem to create on their own. And that's when it hit me. Being copied isn't just annoying. It's actually a reflection of what you bring to the table that others find valuable. But that doesn't mean you have to let it slide. Copycats will never have what you have because at the end of the day, they're only seeing the surface. They don't see the hard work, the unique perspective, or the personality that make your choices truly yours. So if someone's out there copying you, take it as a compliment. But also remember that you're irreplaceable. They might try to mimic every detail, but they can't steal what's uniquely you. Keep doing your thing and let them try to keep up. In the end, there's only one original, and that's you, because no one can copy authenticity. 4. They bring up your past. Mistakes. Let's be honest, we all have them. Those cringe-worthy moments we wish we could forget. But here's the truth. The people who genuinely care about you don't feel the need to bring up your past mistakes every time you achieve something. On the other hand, when someone's jealous, it's like they have a mental highlight reel of your slip-ups, just waiting to roll it out the moment you start succeeding. They might say, "Remember that time you messed up?" It's not about keeping you humble. It's because they're threatened by your progress and need to pull you down. I'll never forget a friend I had a few years ago who had this habit. Every time I reached a new milestone, they'd casually remind me of some old mistake, like the time I flubbed a college project presentation or the time I bombed an interview. I remember landing a huge opportunity that I had dreamed of for years. Their first reaction wasn't "Congratulations." No, it was, "Wow, that's amazing, and to think I remember when you couldn't even handle a group project without messing it up." Here I was, reaching new heights, and instead of celebrating that, they were trying to anchor me to the past. At first I brushed it off, thinking it was no big deal, but it started happening more often. Every time I succeeded, they would remind me of who I used to be, not who I had worked hard to become. The thing is, this behavior isn't about you. It's about them feeling uncomfortable with your growth. They see your progress, and instead of celebrating it, they cling to the past because they can't handle the person you've become. And honestly, that's a big red flag for jealousy. They use your past as a way to make themselves feel better, but really they're just highlighting how uneasy they are with your growth. Next time someone tries to throw an old mistake in your face, remember this: you're not that person anymore. You don't owe anyone an apology for outgrowing your old self. Let them watch from the sidelines while you continue leveling up. In the end, your growth is a reminder of your strength and a sign that you're moving in a direction they can only dream about. 5. Making fun of your dreams. You know the type, the ones who love to make fun of your dreams. The moment they hear about your big plans, it's like open mic night. Oh, you want to start your own business? Good luck with that. Or, so you're going to be a singer now? Maybe I'll come watch if it's free. They throw shade, not because they're just joking, but because your ambitions remind them of the dreams they gave up on. They can't handle the fact that you're going after something big, so they turn it into a punchline. I've been there. When I first started talking about some of my biggest goals, like wanting to work in a creative field and build my own brand, there were people who couldn't resist poking fun. Friends would say things like, "Oh, so you think you're going to be famous or something?" Or, "Yeah, right, like people are really going to follow you for that?" At first, I'd laugh along, pretending it didn't hurt, but deep down, it stung. Here I was, putting myself out there, and people I cared about made me feel like my dreams were a joke. But then I realized something important. They weren't making fun of my dreams because they were funny. They were doing it because my dreams scared them. My goals reminded them of what they wanted, but never went after, what they gave up on, or the risks they were too afraid to take. My willingness to chase something big was like a mirror they didn't want to face, so they turned it into a joke instead. So, if you're chasing a dream and someone's making fun of it, remember this: they're laughing at themselves more than they're laughing at you. They're the ones stuck watching from the sidelines while you're out there playing the game. And here's the best part: when you make those dreams come true, they'll be the ones scratching their heads, wondering how you did it. Keep dreaming, keep pushing, and don't let anyone's laughter hold you back. Your dreams aren't there to entertain anyone else. They're there to fulfill you. And hey, when you reach the top, those jokes will sound pretty hollow, don't you think? 6. Their jokes feel personal. You know the kind of jokes I'm talking about, the ones that hit a little too close to home. It's when someone cracks a joke, but it feels more like a jab, and then they quickly follow it up with a "I'm just kidding." It's like they're using humor as an excuse to get under your skin. People who are secretly jealous are experts at making these little digs. They're not funny, they're personal, targeting what you're proud of, what you've achieved, or something they know is important to you. These aren't jokes, they're insecurities disguised as punchlines. Let me share a story. I had a friend who was really good at this. I had recently started a new fitness routine, something I had been working hard on, and I was finally starting to see results. One day, out of the blue, my friend says, "Oh, look, we've got a fitness guru over here." Don't hurt yourself now with all those selfies. At first I laughed it off, but it kept happening. Every time I'd hit a milestone or even mention the gym, they'd have something sarcastic to say. It started to feel like they weren't joking at all, they were just trying to make me feel self-conscious about something I was excited about. It felt like every joke was meant to make me second-guess myself. But here's the thing: I eventually realized that these so-called jokes weren't about me at all. They were about them, and whatever discomfort my progress stirred up in them. When someone constantly cracks jokes about something you're proud of, it's usually because they're struggling with that same thing in their own life. They see you moving forward in an area they haven't dared to go, and instead of celebrating your success, they hide their jealousy behind sarcasm and jokes that hit a little too hard. It's a classic case of "I want what you have, but I can't admit it, so I'll mask it with humor." Here's the real lesson: when someone's jokes are more hurtful than funny, it's a reflection of their own insecurities. not your worth. People who are happy with themselves don't need to make others feel small. So, the next time someone cracks a joke about your success, your dreams, or even your style, recognize it for what it really is. Don't let it shake you, and don't waste your energy trying to prove anything to them. Your life isn't their punchline, it's yours to celebrate and live boldly. People who try to knock you down with jokes are usually struggling with their own self-worth. So let them laugh, let them make their comments, and just keep doing you. Because here's the best part, your success speaks louder than any joke they could come up with. And trust me, when you keep pushing forward, those little digs lose their power. At the end of the day, you're moving forward and they're still standing there, cracking jokes from the sidelines. 7. Always competing with you. Let's talk about those hidden competitors, the ones who just have to outdo you. You could be telling them something as simple as, "I finally organized my closet," and suddenly they're telling you how they color-coded and alphabetized theirs last weekend. Or you might mention you got a new job, and instead of celebrating with you, they're subtly bringing up their last 2 promotions. It's as if your accomplishments are just an excuse for them to throw their own achievements into the conversation. But here's the thing, they're not just keeping up with you, they're turning your life into a competition you didn't even sign up for. I once had a friend who turned everything into a race. I'd say, "Hey, I just finished a big project at work." And without skipping a beat, they'd reply, "Oh yeah, I'm managing 3 projects at once." No big deal. Or if I shared something cool I had done, like learning a new skill, they'd act like they'd already mastered it. It got to the point where I'd hesitate to share anything at all, because I knew they'd jump in with their own story. It was exhausting. Here I was, trying to celebrate my small wins, and they'd twist it to make me feel like I was always falling behind. That's the thing about people who are constantly competing with you, they're not really rooting for you. They're so focused on comparing themselves to you that they can't even enjoy your success. The more you achieve, the more insecure they feel, because they see life as a race with only room for one winner. So they turn every little victory into an opportunity to show how they're somehow ahead. Your success is a threat to them, not something to be celebrated. There's one specific story that really opened my eyes. I had been saving for years for a big trip I'd been dreaming of, and I was finally able to go. It was a huge milestone for me, something I was really proud of. But when I shared the news with this friend, they immediately responded with, "Oh, I did a similar trip last year, but I went for 3 weeks, not 2, and I stayed in 5-star resorts the whole time." You'll love it, but it's just so different when you have more time, you know. I felt completely deflated. I had worked hard and planned every detail of my trip, and instead of being happy for me, they made it sound like my achievement was less than theirs. That's when it hit me, this wasn't about sharing experiences or celebrating success. They wanted to win a competition I hadn't even entered. If you're dealing with someone like this, remember it's not about you. It's about them needing to constantly prove their worth. So the next time someone tries to outdo you, take a step back and see it for what it really is. 8. The hard truth. Here's the hard truth: their need to compete isn't about you, it's about their own insecurities. People who constantly compare their worth to others will always feel threatened by someone else's success. They don't view your achievements as a sign of your growth. Instead, they see them as a reminder of their own limitations, something they're not ready to face. This constant need to compete often comes from a deep sense of inadequacy. It's how they cope with their own fears and shortcomings, trying to convince themselves they're enough by outshining you. Real friends, though, don't keep score. True supporters know that someone else's success doesn't take away from their own. Life isn't a race with a finish line. There's plenty of room at the top for everyone who puts in the work. Healthy friendships and relationships are built on lifting each other up, not constantly competing or tearing each other down. You're here to thrive, not to play someone else's game. So the next time someone tries to turn your good news into their opportunity to win, remember they're stuck in a mindset that doesn't allow for shared success. Don't let their need to compete hold you back from being proud of what you've accomplished. Let them keep playing their game, because you're on a completely different journey, one where you celebrate your wins without measuring them against anyone else's. Keep shining, stay true to your path, and remember you're unstoppable. No competition can take that away from you. 9. Projecting their insecurities onto you. Alright, let's talk about one of the sneakiest forms of jealousy projection. This is when someone has their own doubts, fears, and insecurities, but instead of facing them, they try to unload them onto you. They might say things like, "Are you sure you're ready for that promotion?" or "Moving to a new city sounds risky. What if it doesn't work out?" You might wonder where all this negativity is coming from, right? But here's the thing, it's not about you. It's their own fears speaking, and they're trying to make them your problem. I had a friend once who would always project his fears onto me. Anytime I shared something ambitious, like a new goal or dream, he'd give me this worried look and ask, "Are you sure that's a good idea? What if it's too much for you?" I remember telling him I wanted to start my own business, and immediately he started going on about how unstable that lifestyle is and how I should stick to something secure. At first I thought he was just looking out for me, but after a while I realized his fears weren't actually mine, they were his. He had always wanted to take bold risks himself, but his own doubts had held him back. So instead of supporting me, he tried to project those fears onto me. Here's the thing, people often project their insecurities because they're uncomfortable seeing someone else break through barriers they feel trapped by. If you're going after something they've always wanted to do but were too scared to try, it makes them question their own choices. It's like your ambition is holding up a mirror to everything they've avoided, and that scares them. Instead of facing their own fears, they'd rather try to make you feel as doubtful as they do. I'll never forget when I told a family member that I was moving out of state for a huge job opportunity, a dream I'd had for years. But instead of celebrating with me, she responded, "Moving sounds like a huge risk. What if it's too expensive or you end up not liking it?" The more I thought about it, the more I realized that she had always wanted to make a big move herself but had never taken the leap. Instead of encouraging me, she projected her own fears about the unknown onto me, making me second-guess something I'd been so certain about. It's like some people would rather keep you in the safe, predictable box they've put themselves in, because it reassures them that they're making the right choice by playing it safe. This kind of jealousy-fueled projection often comes from a scarcity mindset. Instead of seeing success as something everyone can achieve, they believe there's only room for a few at the top. So, when you start pushing your limits, it feels like a threat to them. It reminds them of all the things they haven't dared to do, all the dreams they've left unrealized. And let's face it, most people would rather keep others down than face the uncomfortable truth about why they've stayed in their comfort zone. But here's the reality, their doubts and fears have nothing to do with your potential. People who project their insecurities are often the ones stuck in place because they lack the courage to take the risks you're taking. When they tell you it's too hard or that you might fail, it's because they're too afraid to ask themselves those same questions. They're comfortable staying where they are, so they try to convince you that stepping out of your comfort zone is too risky. There was a time when I mentioned to a friend that I was considering a total career change, a big leap into something I was passionate about, but had little experience in. I'll never forget their response, "But you're already good at what you're doing. Why mess with a good thing?" That's when I realized they weren't questioning my decision, they were questioning their own. They were terrified of leaving their safe career, so they tried to project that fear onto me. They were telling me not to do what they were too scared to try. People who project their insecurities are usually dealing with their own inner battles. They're trying to justify staying in their comfort zone by convincing you to stay in yours. When they see you stepping outside of it, it's like a silent reminder of all the things they've made excuses for not pursuing. It's easier for them to make you question yourself than to face the reasons they haven't gone after their own dreams. But projection isn't your problem to solve. Remember, they're carrying their own fears, and their jealous comments or discouraging advice are just them dumping their insecurities onto you. It's not about you, it's their way of dealing with their own doubts. So, next time someone tries to make you feel like your dreams are too big or your ambitions too risky, know that they're speaking from a place of limitation, and that limitation is theirs, not yours. Here's my advice: don't let someone else's projections hold you back. You're allowed to live outside their comfort zone. Let them deal with their fears while you carve your own path. Keep pushing, keep growing, and remember their limits don't define yours. Just because they can't see your vision doesn't mean you're not capable of achieving it. So go for it, dream big, and let them project all they want. Nothing they say can stop you from reaching what's meant for you. That wraps up our deep dive into the signs someone might be a little too invested in your life, maybe even a bit envious. Jealousy is tricky. It's human, it's relatable, but it can also get under your skin if you don't know how to handle it. The truth is, when someone projects their insecurities onto you, competes with you, or tries to make you feel small, it's a sign that your light is shining brightly enough for them to notice. Sure, that can be uncomfortable to deal with, but it can also be one of the clearest indicators that you're doing something right. Think about it, when people invest that much energy into keeping tabs on you, it says more about them than it ever will about you. You've become a reminder of their potential, goals they haven't dared to chase, or dreams they've put on the shelf. But here's the golden truth. Just because they can't see your vision or don't believe in your dreams doesn't mean you have to stop believing. In fact, it's even more reason to keep pushing forward. I remember a time in my life when I let other people's opinions mess with my head. There were a few friends who would constantly throw in little jabs about my goals like, "Why are you working so hard? Take it easy. You don't need to be so ambitious." For a while I let that affect me, wondering if I was pushing too hard or expecting too much. But looking back, I realized those people just didn't understand my journey. They didn't see the vision I had, and they weren't supposed to. Not everyone is going to understand your drive, your passion, or the reasons behind your dreams. And that's perfectly okay. So, if you take one thing from this video, let it be this: your dreams, your ambitions, and the life you want are yours to pursue. Don't let anyone's jealousy or insecurity sidetrack you. People will try to keep you in a box because that's where they're comfortable. They'll question your decisions, criticize your path, and sometimes even make fun of your dreams. But if they're doing that, it's usually because they've either given up on their own dreams or they're too afraid to take risks themselves. And that's their journey, not yours. When I finally learned to let go of other people's opinions and focus on my own path, things started to shift. I began setting boundaries with people who couldn't be happy for me, and I found others who genuinely supported my goals. That's when I realized that the journey to success, happiness, and self-fulfillment isn't just about achieving goals. It's also about choosing the right people to surround yourself with along the way. You need people who lift you up, challenge you in a healthy way, and push you to be better, not people who feel the need to compete or project their fears onto you. So, my advice: keep shining, keep growing. Don't shrink yourself to fit into someone else's comfort zone, and don't let anyone tell you that your dreams are too big, too bold, or too different. You have every right to pursue what makes you feel alive and fulfilled. And for every person who doubts you, projects onto you, or tries to drag you down, remember there are also people out there who will support and celebrate your journey. Sometimes it's just a matter of finding them. Alright, if you liked this video, felt called out, or empowered, hit that like button. Leave a comment below about the signs of jealousy you've noticed. And don't forget to subscribe for more real talk on self-growth, relationships, and handling those complicated dynamics we all face. I want you to walk away from this feeling confident in yourself, because the truth is, people's jealousy is rarely about you, it's almost always about them. So stay focused on your journey. Keep building the life you want, and remember you're allowed to be as big, bold, and ambitious as you want to be. Thanks for watching, for sticking with me to the end, and for choosing to be a part of this journey. Let's keep supporting each other, keep building each other up, and most importantly, let's keep being unapologetically ourselves. Until next time, keep shining, keep believing in yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.